Heidi ho, and we're flying manual tonight, talking about trucking news you need to hear about. Tonight's show is brought to you by the wizards behind the California Air Resources Board. Yes, you heard me talking about that one earlier, a couple of weeks back on a live show. Well, tonight I thought I'd talk on some other issues that are closely related to that. One day away, we have Trump being given the reins to run the country. And everybody's wondering, is things going to return to normal? Are we really going to get back to business as usual? Well, Lord only knows what's going to happen, but I'm going to tell you something. It's about time we had a trucking industry we could be proud of. And we're going to start out tonight's show talking about something that has been rather problematic, to say the least, and that is the 23 states that have chosen to make an issue out of the obvious. They want people to drive zero emissions vehicles. Great, no problem. I'm all for it. I'm great on progress. I'm great on let's get to the program, let's do it. But you've heard me say in previous shows, let's do it on our own time schedule. Let's not be forced to give up and put the cart before the horse, right? So I've got a couple of stories and a couple of points from these stories I want to kind of highlight and talk about tonight. I want to hear from you. Do you agree with the fact that what's going on recently in the last couple of weeks is probably the best course of action? Okay. It's been in the news that a certain push has been kind of relaxed. We'll talk about that. Um, Certain states have decided to kind of push the whole idea of let's back off and let's re-examine this whole idea of zero emissions, do it right. And several other people have come out and said, you know what? Maybe we overstepped. So let's get into it tonight. Let's talk about the right way in which to get our zero emissions goals met and the things we need to do met the right way. Because you know what? The more you think about it, when you do things wrong, it usually costs you more in the end. So let's take the issue right to the front lines, shall we? From Truckin City Central Command, you are on the front lines. Truckin News.
The semi-truck driver accused of causing that deadly crash on Highway 285 this week, now under arrest.
Cutting edge opinion. And we will make trucking great again. Built for truckers.
You should be hauling that freight based on what works for you.
By truckers.
Remember, get them done.
Featuring.
I think trucking is a very good career.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Majority of the blame is the companies.
And we don't do it just for us and our families. We do it for you guys.
Hosted by the El-Rushbo of Truckin News, Boss Man. 860-785-3547 is our studio line during any part of the show this evening. I encourage you, call in, have a discussion with me, the panelists, and others in the trucking industry. Do your part. Be the powerhouse that you were born to be. Share your wealth of knowledge, share your experiences, let others benefit from what you have to say. This is the show giving you the voice and giving you the awesome possibility of contributing back to the trucking industry. We have started here a movement which I hope will continue to move on long after I'm gone. It is we can make trucking great again. It's not just me. It's not just you. It's not just the panelists and everybody on the show, but it's collectively an industry together that can, one load at a time, one show at a time, help to make a difference. This show is built by truckers for truckers. We are here for you, bringing you news after hit after hit We are here with an hour-long powerhouse show of news, insight, and straight talk aimed at one thing. You see it right here, making trucking great again. So, really, I mean, I got to ask a question. Are the people making these rules and laws making laws that are keeping us safe, or are they just adding more red tape? You tell me in the audience. Is it about the money? Is it about the red tape? Or is it really about safety? I've said it in a number of shows before, and I'm going to continue speaking it. 90% of these rules, they are not safety related. I'm full set against that. I really, some of them are, and there's a lot of people that will come back to me and say, you know what, it's all safety. There's no money in it. But you know what? The more safety you put in it, and the more red tape you put on it, there's no money in trucking. So that's the problem. How do you balance red tape with safety and actual profitability? You know, and who's behind all this? Who actually makes those decisions? Is it the regulators? Is it the corporate giants, the elites, the people paid more money than you and me collectively put together? Are they just doing this for their own benefit? Comment below. Let me know. Call our studio line, 865 860-785-3547, if I can remember my own number. You know what? I mean, other things coming up in future shows. You definitely want to definitely want to stay tuned on. I'm going to talk at length during this next coming week about driver pay. Some trends coming up that need to be talked about. They're talking about changing independent contractor status. Therefore, what we're going to be looking at are some changes on how we're paid, how we're actually classified. I'm coming up with some ideas on some discussions on that. Do not want you to miss that. I go live twice a week during the week at 7 o'clock at night, as well as on the weekends when my schedule cooperates. On the weekends at 7 o'clock. Weekdays, it's called Journal. We just talk about the news, and I talk briefly about your views on it. Here on the weekend shows, Frontlines, we talk about issues. We debate issues. Are they good? Are they bad? What do you think? We get to the core of what your perception of these news stories really are. So I welcome your input. Call us up on our studio line. Send me an email. That's truckinnews@outlook.com. That's truckinnews@outlook.com. I want to hear your thoughts on stories you want talked about. If you want to come up here on Frontlines in the chat, there is a StreamYard link. Click it. We'll have your face pop up. Don't be shy. Get in front of the camera. Have a discussion with us. Challenge us. Let us know you're there. This show is for you. So, without further ado, we're going to bring up some of the panelists, and we're going to talk about one in particular story that's kicked me off in a mood tonight. And we're going to see what you guys think about CARB, California Air Resources Board, their dream team idea about getting rid of diesel engines by 2035. What say you on that whole thing? Dumper, good evening. Introduce yourself and tell me your thoughts on California's Air Resources Board.
Oh, good evening, guys. How are you doing? Thumper and Bo's somewhere. I don't know where he's at. We're home for the weekend, so he's on vacation.
There you go.
You can find me on YouTube and maybe TikTok if it comes back. I've noticed that they're starting to allow some things back on TikTok.
Not all, but some. Yeah.
But they're offering some.
Yeah.
So I hope it does come back because I had a pretty good following up there. But to answer your question, missions don't bother me.
Yeah.
I live in the northern Midwest where we don't have emission laws. So and honestly, I've said it once and I'll keep preaching it again. California needs to quit enforcing every other state. They want to run the country, they need to go be their own country. Simple as that. I'm tired of California this, California that, and we're over here in the Midwest, East Coast, Southern Midwest, wherever, and we're living perfectly normal lives, but yet now we have to change our lifestyles because of California, and that's bullshit.
Well, now California is not the only state in the union that is currently dealing with these issues. There were a couple of stories that I saw in the news this week, and one of them it really hit me off guard, and that's their sister state next door, Oregon. Okay. The one story I don't have pulled up or queued up tonight, I'm going to talk about one I do, but one of the stories I noticed was talking about Oregon giving a lawsuit back to California, not because of the law California passed, but because the manufacturers that were going along with the law. Now, that's what they're supposed to do. Don't get me wrong. You're supposed to follow the letter of the law. But in that, they were pissed because what's going on now is manufacturers have flat out said that after next year, they're not offering any new diesel engines. Now,
That's
of
their
course,
problem. That ain't my problem. If
right.
they
It's
want to,
not.
if they want to ruin their economy over there, then let them.
Okay.
That's the way I see it.
Slow down. Slow down. What I noticed about the story I thought was particularly intriguing was the fact that most of these dealers then rebutted with, well, look, if the laws changed and things were made so that we didn't have to do this, we'd be happy to do it. But they disclosed that they're being told by the manufacturers that they have to do this because all the pressure is being bared on the manufacturers to do things in these states. It's not anything to do with the dealers. The dealers are completely out of this.
What
And that's
manufacturer?
the manufacturers of Daimler, Chrysler, all of those, anyone that manufactures diesel engines on behalf of semi trucks or class 8 trucks. They're being told after next year they can't they can't provide new order sales for diesel engines because effective as of 2036 they've got to start scaling down, and there's a scale down process between now and 2036. They have to eliminate diesel engines according
That's
to
that's
our regulation.
11 years from now.
True, but they're starting now, and that's what the story was about.
Okay, you're gonna start eliminating Class A diesel engines and switching everybody to electric. Well, I can tell you right now, your profit margins are gonna be very, very slim, and everybody's gonna go into freaking panic mode.
Okay, but that's only half of it. Because here's where it ties into the story I have here. By the way, all these, once I'm done, will all be linked down below. So you can follow along with me after the show. Okay. It dovetails into what I'm about to talk about because there is a person in this story. It's a section of Willamette Week. It's a news story that's local to the Oregon area. And I'll put the link below. But there's a fella that's quoted as saying through Reddit, says he works in logistics, and this rule that they're talking about is a disaster. I'm reading a quote here. If manufacturers are forced to stop selling new trucks in Oregon, companies will be forced to buy older and less efficient used trucks. I consider myself an environmentalist and I own an electric car, but I'm worried this law will have the opposite impact it was hoping to achieve. And there's part of where I mentioned the whole thing. They're putting these laws in because they want more efficient fleets, zero emissions. They want people to burn less diesel and pollute less. But what they're doing and the way they're going about it is having an opposite effect. What say you?
They wanna start burning less diesel. I got a solution. I got a real easy solution.
And what's that?
And it don't you could get the stuff practically for free.
Okay.
Take off all your stupid emission stuff on an engine and burn vegetable oil. Used vegetable oil.
Yeah. It might not sound pretty, but it probably would burn cleaner.
Oh, it smells like a Kentucky Fried Chicken or a French fry going down the road, but it is. I have a 97 Ford pickup that runs off vegetable oil.
Yeah, that flex fuel engine technology. Yeah. Yeah, that works. That works. How many people would be willing to do that? I want to say hello to my daughter who's in the audience. Devin Lewis, welcome to the show. New face. Unless you're just typing in a new name. Glad you're with us. Thank you. Our usual, Dorothy. My dad said the process to make the batteries is not eco-friendly. We'll get into that in a minute, but you are so true, making a wealthy, good, true statement. I thank you for that. Yeah, and that's only part of it, really. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, if Trump does what I think he's going to do, and we got two panelists waiting, we're going to bring them on, so we got more opinions flying. But if Trump does what I think he's going to do, we're going to get the conditions that we need to actually do things right. Because what you just mentioned a minute ago is a perfect reason why. We have so many options that we have yet never even thought of exploring. Flex fuel, vegetable oils, natural gas.
We have
you know,
biodiesel,
other
which is soybean.
Thank
But
you. And so many options. It's just ridiculous that one state chooses to pull forward full throttle and say, do it my way. Well, what's to say your way's the best? Who gave you the golden authority? That's my
they
thing.
think they're entitled to everything.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. California isn't their own country yet. But I
They
digress.
need to be.
And yeah. Another Twitter user came on and said they can't think beyond their aspirations and develop a cogent plan in collaboration with industries they're just trying to change. They can be implemented successfully. And they're basically talking about the same thing I am, which is where I got my idea from. I mean, to actually take part in research and make careful decisions, I think it goes a long way to say, okay, what works best? Because right now I'm driving a 5-year-old truck. Now, a 5-year-old truck, considering the technology that's in it, it's still very fuel efficient. I think it's very good. I think average trucks within that 5-year range do excellent. I don't have any problem dealing with the fuel mileage I get. And the other part too is, how do you drive? If you want to consume fuel, you're going to drive slower. You're going to drive different. You're going to make all the necessary arrangements so you don't have to idle all night.
Hold on.
Exception being to when you're 35 below, like you are now, but you get the point I'm making. If fuel efficiency and fuel economy is a big deal to you, you'll do it right. What are you going to say?
I was going to say you should reword that. You said you want to consume more fuel. It should be consume less fuel.
I think what I meant to say was conserve more fuel. But
yeah, but you said consume.
You did. I know. I told you before the show my wording was going to be all screwed up. Give me a break, dude.
I got to pick on you, though.
You do, every time. So talk to me about natural gas, Larry. You're in that business. Oh, I'm sorry. How you doing, buddy? Figured I'd make a grand intro for you.
Some people say that's money, though. So
say that one more time.
Some people say that's money, though.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but what do you think of what I just said? What me and Thumper just talked about? Do you agree, disagree? What are your thoughts?
Well, I disagree with everything California tries to
do. Well, so why? What's the major reason?
They think they're better than everybody else and have to inflict their laws on us.
Right. So you don't think it's fair that one state controls the entire country?
No.
Yeah. I mean, I was always under the impression Washington, D.C. had that awesome responsibility, but now I guess they moved the Oval Office to California, Sacramento, I guess. Just saying. I don't know.
You would think, anyway.
You would think that, yeah.
Look at when DEF came out, right? Who was the biggest pusher for DEF? California.
No, in California. No.
Now they're going back and saying it's bad for the environment. So they don't want it on the trucks no more, right?
My understanding is there was one particular manufacturer that was being pushed by an owner of a major fleet that was responsible for pushing DEF. Can't confirm it because I don't know that it's true, but that's what I was told.
It was California that pushed it. And
true.
And now they're bitching because their trees are turning white. Well, you know what? You know what DEF is for the people who are watching. If you don't know, all it is watered down urea. Well, you know what urea is? It's a fertilizer that is put in the ground by farmers.
Yep. It is.
It's a salt.
And
pretty
here's
much.
the kicker. It's in short supply. Guess who's the main supplier of that very product? China. You heard it, folks. China. They have the main source and resource to supply the entire world with DEF fluid right now as we speak.
No, I'm going to argue with that because there are 3 places in North Dakota that are mines, urea mines.
Great. Yeah, you can
And they
supply
make
some, but
that.
not the entire world.
They
Compared
make
to
that.
China's supply, you have you have less than half of that, I think. So you guys can do a lot for us. Yes, you can do a lot for the U.S., but the rest of the world, yeah, they won't last. And that's 90% of everybody's argument is the fact that China holds too great of a stake in the supply of that product. That's
But
everybody said that.
they have different emission laws than us anyway.
Well, no, it's not just. Well, no, they do. They do have different laws, but you got to think about the collective laws of other countries because the U.S. isn't the only zero emissions target or Paris Accord style country. There's others. The UK, there's Australia, there's all other countries that are doing the same thing we are. They need a product just like we do. So, we're not the only ones in this leaking boat situation. Anyway, another story, big news in the Walmart thing. I put out a Walmart video a short time ago. Walmart is to miss 2025-30 emissions reductions targets. They've realized all this stuff we're talking about, and they've said that they expect to miss the 2025-30 greenhouse gas emission reductions targets they've set, and they will require innovation and technology that's not yet available. Okay, the company back in 2020 set goals to reduce its scope greenhouse gas emissions by up to 35%. However, they said in an annual emissions meeting they did not make it. They missed it. So their year-over-year increase was due to transportation emissions, aging refrigeration equipment, slowing renewable energy expansion goals. They're different. Now, here's that. Here's that. I don't know if you caught what I just said. One of the problems we're having is not just tractors. It's not just trucks. It's refrigeration. Think about that. Refrigeration requires use of engines. Reefer units have engines, which usually run off diesel. Okay. And the emissions requirements are set up for trucks, but they're not set up for reefer units. But California wants them to be. Currently, they're not, but they do. Think about that. So now we're not only going to have to adapt this technology to our trucks, but also to reefers too. That is what Walmart has just opined on and said they're not going to be able to make. And that's the reason why they're pulling out. They're deciding, you know what? We're going to drop this whole thing. We're going to take our time, do it our way, but we're not meeting our goals. And heck with you. So, that's one major company. I mean, how big is Walmart? One major company that said, you know what? I can't do it. In addition to half the other lawsuits that are currently being filed against California Air Resources Board. It is an eye opener. And Dorothy says more than just vehicles affect the environment, but in the last several years they are focusing on vehicles. Kind of curious who financially benefits from it. Honestly, it all flows uphill. In my opinion, it all flows uphill. We have to purchase the fuel, we have to run the equipment, but in order to run it, we have to buy it. When we buy it, money goes up. Money goes from hand to mouth. That mouth is the dealer. The dealer then pays the manufacturer. The manufacturer pays somebody else. Don't know how far it goes from there. Haven't followed it beyond that. But you see where I'm going with this. It goes uphill. And every step of the leg, everyone has to pay a tax. So guess who gets a lot of money? So there's the answer to your question. It's
Not me.
all about taxes. Huh? What'd you say, Larry?
I don't get any of that money.
No, no, but we all have to pay taxes, don't we?
Mhm.
Tell me, Poet, are the same conditions as worrisome where you're at? I mean, what I
Yes.
just talked about with Walmart and all this stuff going on. What is your Northern Alberta take on this whole
Okay. So right across the road, and I mean right across the road
thing? As you've
from
shown
my
some pictures.
house,
Yep.
is a plant that makes DEF. DEF.
Oh, you do have that. Okay. Didn't know
Oh
that's what
yeah.
it was. Yes, sir.
Oh
Okay, good.
yeah. We can't get away from it.
Spill it, brother. Spill it.
So my question is, wants to, or Daimler Chrysler wants to stop selling diesel engines in their trucks. How many other states are being affected? Where are the
Mhm,
Cummins, the Cats, the
mhm.
GMs, the Packard diesels being built?
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
so now,
Washington,
sorry, what, Sumper?
those pack cars are made in Washington State.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, so that's one state north, but it's not Oregon.
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
so I haven't called it California in a long time. Okay,
Mhm.
because it's not.
Yeah, I know your nickname for it, but we're gonna move
Yeah,
on on that.
I'm not even gonna go there. The
Yeah,
whole
we're
thing, the
yep.
whole thing is that they figure they're a country in their own right,
Yep.
and they will dictate to the rest of the 48 states that are continental.
Right.
And I call BS on that.
Yep.
Now, they are doing the same thing to Canadian trucks and sales
Yep.
and truckers heading into California.
Yep.
Uh, and a lot of Canadian truckers have said,
Yep.
we're not hauling your produce.
Yep.
We are not going and bringing you goods from Canada into California. You
Yep.
want them, you're going to pay for it,
Right.
but not
Exactly.
but not with us.
Yep. Look, in addition to challenges with energy policies and infrastructure in the global markets where Walmart operates, the company said it will miss its likely target dates for those emissions reductions due to a lack of availability of cost effective, here we go, low emitting refrigeration and heating and ventilation and air conditioning systems.
Right.
Walmart said low carbon heavy tractor transportation probably will not emerge in a cost effective manner until 2030s. They think it's going to be a while. So why
Hmm.
is it now it takes a large company like Walmart, just as I showed you, to suddenly blow the whistle and say what we all knew would be the case? Why did it take them instead of them listening to us? Why do you think that is?
Mike, I'm gonna follow that up with another question.
What's that?
Why are we letting somebody who doesn't have an engineering degree that sits behind a desk and all they know is how to be a politician and lie through their teeth dictate how long it's going to take us who actually know the real facts to
Mhm.
do something? Why are they giving us a timeline?
So do you challenge what this executive from Walmart just cited, as I stated, shown on the screen?
No,
Do
I'm
you?
actually kind of agreeing with him. He
Oh, okay.
understands
Oh,
that it's
okay.
going to take longer than what those people in office want it to be.
I
Right.
think I think Sumper's talking about the bureaucrats in Washington
Oh, I know
and the
exactly who
different
he's talking
states.
about, but notice what is going on here. This Walmart executive, okay,
Mhm.
um, is the first one to actually come out and publicly say this.
And he's going to get
And I'm
vilified.
scanning the articles. I'm trying to find his name because I want to give him the credit he's due, but
Yeah.
I don't see one, because this
He,
whole article is, from Trucking Dive. I don't know where he cited it from. But why did it take this one individual to state the obvious? And like Thumper said just a minute ago, why are we relying on one set of standards when honestly, those standards belong to us in the industry. We are the ones that should be making these decisions.
Well,
But
no,
yet
well,
it
it
takes
wasn't.
someone like him to come out and say the very thing we've all been saying for how long now?
Well, it
And
wasn't so much pointed at that. It was pointed at the fact is they don't have an engineering degree. They don't have any. They probably don't even know how an engine works.
Yeah.
or how to shift a truck.
Yeah. Well, no,
that's
whether
besides the point,
yeah,
poet.
that's
You're
beside the
you're
point.
you're
Yeah.
taking it out of proportion. I'm just saying, somebody who does not have a degree in engines or anything like that, why are they dictating what?
Something like this, no offense, poet, but something like this doesn't require somebody to even know how to drive a truck, but they do have to have the dollars and cents to know what the decisions they make affect people that own trucks. Okay? People like you and me that depend on knowing how much fuel money we're going to spend in a week or knowing what we're going to have to put aside to upgrade our engines to be compliant with these bullshit rules they're putting in effect are going to be.
Who's
Because
dying
we're
in
the
the
ones that bear the
background?
cost. You know?
I'm gonna mute. My
Go
birds
ahead.
are having a heyday.
Yeah, they're having a field day. I got you, buddy. But they're the ones making these decisions, but we're the ones that have to bear the cost for that decision. You know, we're the ones that have to shell out that $20,000 or $30,000 upgrade to our truck because it doesn't meet your compliance standard you just set that we can't meet.
Well, and the thing is, you look at your DPF systems;
Mhm.
they don't do a friggin' thing. If we're gonna
No,
if
they
we're
don't.
gonna if we're gonna get right down to the nitty gritty, the only thing they're good for is plugging up with soot.
Exactly. I can't tell you how many DPF filters I went through in my 2013 Peterbilt. Okay? From start to finish. I purchased it at 485 grand. That's what was on the odometer, okay? It wasn't a 485,000 truck. Shoot me if I buy one. Anyway, from that moment until 1 million miles, I put 4 filters in it. The
And you can
DEF
only
system didn't do crap for it.
and you can only burn them clean twice. That's it.
Yeah,
After
exactly.
that, they're junk. It's
But
just like
2 of them,
it's just like a
2 of them,
catalytic converter on a car.
pretty
All
much.
they're
2 of them wound up with cracks. That's
yeah.
why I had to put 4 in the entire life of the truck. So if they crack, you're screwed, and if they're cleaned once, the second time around, you're only getting half life out of it anyway.
Oh.
So you can get a 500,000 miles out of a brand new filter. When you clean it, you can only get about maybe 150 out of it. That's it. That's all I ever got out of it. So, DEF don't do crap. It's supposed to knock down the nitrous oxide. I don't know.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna ask another question here.
Okay.
What does diesel trucks and gasolines put off through the exhaust? What is it? Carbon monoxide.
I have something
Go
to
ahead,
say about that.
Go ahead, buddy.
Like I said in the past, I've actually been friends with diesel mechanics, and that darn DPF is very highly toxic.
Highly toxic.
After it's been ran through. So why run and try to clean the air and then make something else toxic? That's stupid. That's just double the negative, right?
Yeah, you're kind of right, and a lot of people have raised that same issue. I mean, because you start with a product like Thumper says, urea. Number one, it don't smell good. Number two, the elements of the product you're using don't burn off just because you put it into a 1300. What you're doing basically is putting it into a 1300-degree oven. It doesn't burn off by itself. It's still there. It's just dispersed because of the explosion going on inside the filter.
Okay, so here's what I was starting to ask before I realized Grumpy was here.
Yeah.
What does diesel and cars give off? Carbon monoxide.
Right.
What eats carbon monoxide?
All of
Trees.
our plants.
Yes, plants, trees.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
What do they give off? Oxygen. Oxygen keeps us alive. It's
So you're
a
saying
Yes.
so you're saying there's a theory behind it helping, not hurting?
well, what I'm saying is if you're gonna sit here and do zero emissions, well, you're not just killing off the workforce. I'm starting to sound like a tree hugger now. But
No,
you're
I think I know where you're going.
you're
I
killing
think I know where you're
off
going.
you're killing off the food and nutritions that plants need too.
Mhm.
No, plants need CO2,
That's
They
carbon
don't need it. They no no
dioxide.
no 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 no. Let's stop right here. Stop right here. Stop right here. No no no. Plants don't need it. They do utilize the byproduct. Okay, if we didn't make another vehicle, if we didn't make another coal-fired plant, if we didn't make another anything that emitted more CO2 than we currently do, we're not going to lose plants. Plants won't die because you don't have CO2. They make oxygen as a byproduct of the conversion of the chlorophyll process. That's all it is. They don't require CO2. It's not like us running cars, trucks, and diesel engines are helping them. Theoretically, it is, but it's not we're killing plants. And that's what a lot of people say we're
well
doing.
the
We're
the
killing
way
plants.
the way
BS.
the world has advanced and stuff, we all rely us and the environment relies on each other to do stuff. So you start taking stuff away, it's gonna have a really bad negative impact.
That goes back to what I started saying.
Yeah.
Yes. Think carefully about how did I word it? The reaction from everything you do, I think is the way I worded it. Every single thing you do has a consequence. So, to your point, yes.
Because I'm serious, if they were to ban diesel trucks right now, there's going to be a huge impact. It may not be the following day, it may take a week, it may take a month, but there
Right.
will be a huge impact on the environment.
Yep.
I don't know why we ended up going down this road, but the whole point of it is they're telling us what to do when we actually know better than them, and they won't listen to us. Is what it comes down to.
Well, I've been saying since I started my first show, the industry as a whole, and I got a couple of comments I'm going to highlight because I see one that particularly caught my interest. So I'll get to you in a minute, Truckers Mile. I've said from day one, the industry as a whole knows more about our industry than any government regulator does. It is incumbent upon our industry and our industry alone, not the regulators, not people pushing pencils in a state halfway across the damn country to push regulations that make no sense. It's up to us to say this is what we need. No one's ever done that. Everybody's high pressed to be talked into, what big trucking wants, what big research, pharma and R&D and all these different legs of different development companies and manufacturers want us to do. We don't care about this stuff. It's our industry, it's our engines, it's our livelihoods, and it's our responsibility to take what we know works and make a job work. We have to deliver the products. Okay? We are the driving force. We are the trucks, the trailers, the logistics, the in, the out. We are the ones that make it happen. Dorothy comes on to say maybe it should be required for a politician to research things before passing legislation. Exactly what I was saying just a moment ago. Yes, ma'am. Glad you noticed that. Was hoping I worded it right because it's working on the blanket. You are forever welcome to do that, my dear. Truckers Mile chimes in. Welcome to the show. Glad you could join us. Our government has never elected anyone who's ever driven a truck, let alone what us drivers go through every day, and probably never will. We as drivers never get listened to. It does suck. I agree. And probably more to the response from what I just said. Since the emissions, I feel the days of being a true independent owner operator are gone. I just don't see how anyone buying an emissions truck can be profitable, especially with current freight rates. Freight rates are not doom and gloom, my friend. Freight rates are more than what you see. I don't know how much you expose yourself to a contract with a customer versus use of spot rates and all that other stuff. That being said, it is slowly on the way up. And Trump takes office tomorrow. Watch what happens in the first quarter. It's going to take probably 2 quarters for there to be a realized result. But I do think in short time, and I do think others agree with me, in short time, we will start seeing improvements. Not mainly because of what we're talking about, but I do think the improvements will happen just simply over time because it can't get any worse than Biden. I mean, let me know in the comments. Can it get worse than Biden? I doubt it. But I think we've seen the worst as of yet. Goes on to say, yet we as drivers need to be the ones pushing for the regulations that are going to be more effective. Yes, I agree 100%. If you haven't already done so, Truckers Mile, please go down below and like and subscribe. I like your way of thinking. I welcome you aboard. Thank you for chiming in and telling me what you just said. We have, I think, collectively as an industry, a better way of making decisions than any politicians. Go ahead, Thumper.
Okay, so I totally agree. We as drivers need to state our voice, but I'm going to bring something up.
Okay.
And this is something we were talking about last night. 170 million people
Knew you were going to go there.
did not have their voice.
Exactly.
So I agree with you. Yes, we should state our voice. We should stomp our feet, throw a fit like a 2-year-old. But yesterday just kind of proved it. Our voice doesn't matter.
Well, that I agree in a large part, but that's technology. There are people that are paid a lot more money than you and I are. So who am I to say you're right or wrong? I agree with what you say, but they're paid bigger bucks to make those decisions. And yeah, you're right.
Can you explain, Sumper?
What do you mean? Can I explain?
What are you about to start, Poet? Careful what you ask for.
Not about to start anything. You guys were talking about something last night.
TikTok was banned. TikTok was banned last night. 170 million people, users in the United States, had lost access for over 18 hours.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It just recently came back running again, but
okay, that's what I needed to know. Thank you.
I thought you said you watched my live, Poet. Yes, tisk. You lied to me.
I got 3/4 of the way through it. I'm not even done with it yet. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah.
The world's smallest violin. We don't care about your sorrows.
But I don't have any sorrows.
Say what, Larry?
It's that old timers catching up to them.
There you go. All right.
Sometimers.
Sometimers.
No,
exactly.
No. In my case, it's all timers.
Dorothy S. was curious if they could have voting more accessible to semi-drivers.
I said that
Good
last
question. Night. Yeah, I was just going to say, you talked about that last night, like maybe having polling at truck stops.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Huh?
Because you actually have to have an actual physical address to be able to vote in that state.
Now think about this. They're pushing. Every state is pushing voter ID laws, right?
Yep.
What difference does it make if you have an address or not? In order to get an ID, you have to have an address in a state residence.
I'm going to answer that question.
Right, go ahead.
So, what is it, March 2025? So this year, I think it's March. I know North Dakota, Minnesota are this way. You have to have a real ID.
Right.
Which I think would take care of that. I think if now that everybody's getting a real ID, that might allow us to go vote elsewhere and our vote still counts.
Okay, but more to the point Larry just made, okay? I say forget the address thing, okay? Because in order for you to get an ID of any kind, whether it's the one you say or a driver's license for a commercial motor vehicle, you have to have a permanent residence, right?
No.
So at that point, if you got an ID or if you've got a commercial vehicle license, that's irrelevant. Why should you have to prove you live somewhere to cast a
Did
vote
you?
for a place? Oh, wait a
Did,
minute. A place. Let's say Dorothy's warranted idea actually makes sense. Let's say, for a hypothetical scenario, that you or I were on this 3-month tear, which most of us usually do. We're out for 2-3 months at a time, right? And we want to vote. Now we've got to go all the way back home to do that. Instead, how would it be if we could go to, let's say, any truck stop in any city, USA, just say, okay, I live here, get on a computer system, say, this is the vote I want to cast, this is the thing I want to do, and this is what I represent. Turn it in electronically. It's done. It's over with. Who cares? You are you. You've proven it. You've cast your vote.
Now
Who cares?
let me ask you this then. I mean, like I said, I'm like totally for the idea.
Yeah,
Trust me, I am.
Yeah,
but I'm being a realist right now.
True.
Who says, say, Mr. Larry, the trucker over there, throws his boat in Bismarck, North Dakota,
right,
and he goes 20 miles down the road to New Salem and casts another boat?
What? No, see, and that's where everybody's jumping the boat. Once you stop somewhere and cast your vote, whether it's at a truck stop, whether it's electronically through your phone or through your email or whatever, you're done. You can't do it anymore. There needs to be a check mark system in there that says you as an individual with said name, ID number, or real ID that you use. Remember, it's back to your ID, right? Once you've proven that that ID is used to cast a vote, you can't cast a second vote anywhere else.
But I guarantee it when they come out with it, that won't be in play, and there'll be people going out and casting multiple votes. I guarantee it.
All right, let me ask you a question then. How is it that state and unions all catch double votes that currently happen? It is always broadcast in the news. People try voting more than once, and they always catch it. If they catch it, then why would this system be any different?
And how many Canadians would try to vote?
Well, I mean that would be true of the whole ball of wax.
Well,
the Canadian voting system is different than the American.
No.
Answer your question,
it is.
How many Canadians would try to vote in U.S. election?
You can't if you're a Canadian citizen. If you're a dual citizen, you can.
When you go poet, it's no different than going and voting in person. You got to show an ID.
My former boss was a dual citizen. He was a resident of Canada. He lived in Toronto. And while he was going through the green card process and becoming an American citizen, he was a dual citizen. He voted in elections in the state we lived in. And it was legal because he was going through that process at the time. He only did it for 1 year, or no, 2 years, I think, because he was going through and he was about to become a naturalized citizen. But as a dual citizen, he could do that. And that was the only way he could do it.
And I actually got rid of it.
Yeah.
I have a U.S. Social Security card.
Right.
Okay. Using my Canadian Social Insurance number.
Right.
Okay.
You're a dual citizen.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. If you have a United States Social Security number, you are a dual citizen.
If he has a Social Security number, that means he was born in the U.S. Or that means he's received benefits in the U.S. That's all that means.
The Canadian system, okay, uses 9 numbers. Okay.
Right.
Same as the U.S.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's just that.
Oh, they don't use. They use 10 in the United States.
Say what?
They use 10 in the United States.
3 and 2 is 5, and 4 is 9.
Oh yeah, I can't do math tonight.
Yeah. 3, then 2, then 4. So it's 9.
I was thinking it was 3, 3, 4. But that's a phone number.
I used my 3 numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. Turned it into 3, 2, 4 numbers. And got away with it.
You're speaking Greek. Bottom line, I was trying to prove a minute ago is that as a dual citizen, that would be the only way you could cast votes in two countries. But the
And
country,
I hear you.
the country issue is not the one at discussion here. The one it's in discussion is what Thumper brought up a minute ago, and that's whether or not you can cast a vote in Bismarck and then go down to like Cedar Rapids and cast a vote there. Hypothetically, I don't know the city names in North Dakota, but you get the point, right?
Well, you're talking about Iowa now.
Yeah. Well, whatever. But the idea is casting more than one vote in a single state election for a whatever vote you want should only be allowed once. Once you use your ID, I say it's a system that just automatically says you voted, you can't do it again. And you're flagged in the system if you try a second time. Just that simple.
Well, I mean,
everyone
like
wants
to answer your question earlier about people that get caught voting twice. Well, you know,
Right.
they're the dumb idiots that go into the same place 3 hours later and go vote at the same place.
Right. And you don't think they're caught?
No, they are. I was saying
Yeah.
that's how they get caught. Is they go
Yeah.
into the same place again.
Yeah, because even Dorothy says, no, there's a way to track the votes, and there is. There is a way in place. I get that. Trucker's Mile says, I know one regulation that needs to be enforced is reading, speaking, and writing and understanding. How did I know you were going to go there? To obtain a CDL instead of foreigners driving a truck here being hired by Medicare's. And that one is one that's been fought tooth, nail, and historically will always be a problem. Because I mean, as much as I agree with what you're saying, and as much as I hate the fact that people that don't speak our language and know our customs are even in the job to begin with, you have to give credence to those that may act stupid, but actually can do it. Okay. Because I think a lot of what goes on today is because people come into our country and they act like they can't speak the language, but really can. And a lot of it is just pure stupidity.
Me
Okay.
speaking no English.
Don't get me don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it doesn't exist what you pose. Okay? But honestly, I would think backwards from this. If I were hypothetically to take a vacation, with passport in hand, go to Germany and want to, see my family roots because I'm German, in case you don't know. I want to see my family roots in Germany and explore, downtown Berlin or whatever. I don't know anything about the damn country, so don't fault me. But point being is if I go somewhere, I don't know jack about the language there. But I would hope that my experience there would not be tainted by the very statement you just made. Now, it's a far cry, don't get me wrong, from what you're talking about to an experience vacationing somewhere. Okay, big difference. I get that. But you think about it, everyone that comes here from another country has to go through that experience once. Everyone has to break into learning customs, learning rules, learning laws, everything. Now, that learning curve only goes just so far. And our government has put into place translators and all this other crap going on that gives these people that quote inch where they take the mile. I think that needs to stop. So in that respect, I agree with you.
Now
But
I'm gonna
only as far as that inch and mile translation goes, that's where I think needs to stop. I agree with you that needs to be a thing. Go ahead, Tom.
I'm gonna go to your whole Germany analogy and kind of bust your balls on that one.
Naturally, you would, yeah.
Oh yeah, I like doing it. In Berlin, English is actually a one of the number one languages there. But if you go to a small town,
okay,
in Germany, that you won't. They don't know English. They know nothing but German. So when I was over there, yes, I had to learn German for those smaller.
And there's two different dialects in Germany. I understand.
There is.
Yeah, it's freaky because my great grandmother, when she was alive, used to talk about that, and she said there was sometimes she'd go to one side of town, she'd speak and not be understood, and then she'd go back to her store close to her house, and she would scare people with how much she knew, and it was crazy story.
But it is getting better though. Where because I was just over there recently, and the English is kind of spreading a little bit more, but my German was a little rusty, but it's pretty even throughout the whole country now.
Yeah. I got one more video clip I want to play. Normally I would say a lot to introduce it, but I think the clip itself is going to say all it needs to say. So let's play it for a moment and see what y'all think.
Well, they shouldn't. The Clean Air Act does give California some special treatment, and they've taken that inch and they've tried to run a mile with it. And what they did in this agreement is they strong-armed and bullied the trucking industry into making this deal, trying to Trump-proof and judicial review-proof their electric vehicle mandates that will ban the internal combustion engine in just over a decade. And this agreement, they work in lockstep. All the manufacturers will phase out internal combustion engines in lockstep and deprive fleet operators and others of the ability to buy diesel engines, other internal combustion engine vehicles. And that's illegal. The Clean Air Act says that if you don't have permission from EPA, you, a state, can't even attempt to enforce emission standards for new vehicles. And that's what you've got here. It's this elaborate attempt to sort of have a back channel or insurance policy to make sure that regardless of what voters say, regardless of what the law says, the climate bureaucrats get their way and end the internal combustion engine. And we're going to stop it by suing.
So that is a news report that came up basically within the last few weeks, available on Fox News. Huh?
Welcome to California.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a solution for it all.
Oh, what's that?
It's called horse and buggy.
Oh, like that's a
y'all want
solution.
to fight
Come
over
on now.
electricity and combustion vehicles? I think everybody needs to go back to the old West days where the problem solved itself.
Yeah. Well, that right there, that whole video was basically an explanation of the origin of what we're talking about tonight, which is really what's going on. Suddenly, everybody's realized that what California is trying to do has been overkill. And it basically originated from the very lawsuit they're talking about. The report itself is a month old, but the idea of what the lawsuit was and what is come from it has been going on all year long. And, you know, I've said most of the year on several videos, you're welcome to look back on my catalog of videos as well as live shows. I've said a while ago that it's going to come to this because I thought all the laws and rules that California was trying to throw at the other 23 states was a little lofty, and I thought it was way out of bounds and unachievable. And I think I'm right. And I think a lot of people are in agreement with that. And it really goes a long way to say, hey, look, let's take a step back. Let's do what's right for the industry and let the industry run itself. You know, these lawmakers, they don't know what they're doing. Even the manufacturers, they think they know, but they need to also listen to us. They need to bend a little bit to the people that actually do the job. So, closing thoughts, you guys?
You got to read Dorothy's comment.
Oh, the last one?
Yep.
That's a point. They are so eco-friendly. What does she mean?
When I said horse and buggy.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you know, gotta give her credit. She's doing the knit crochet thing.
They are. I mean, they're a natural fertilizer. They keep the grass down in the ditches. I mean, you know.
Hey, you know what?
Win-win.
The one segment of this society that does have nothing on this argument. Think about it.
The Amish and Mennonite.
The Amish, exactly. They don't have a thing to worry about. My God, you know,
they're probably for doing all this.
Right? They're sitting back laughing at us. Trucker's Miles says, I'd trust the internal combustion engine more than the electric truck, as you can go way further with an internal combustion engine than you can an electric truck. Thumper, how cold is it outside right now?
Give me 1 minute.
Seriously, I want to know. Because that'll prove his point. I mean, it will demonstrate to you exactly why I don't think batteries stand a chance.
It's
minus
10 right now.
It's minus 25 here.
Right? Minus 25 in Alberta. You got to unmute yourself, Thumper.
-14.
-14. Now tell
Well,
me,
are you wearing
Trucker's Mile,
shorts?
hold on a minute. Trucker's Mile, if you think an electric battery stands a chance in -14 degrees sitting outside of your house all night and starting in the morning, I want to know. Put a yes or no in the comments.
No,
I
last,
want to hear from you, sir. I don't
last
think
night,
it stands a chance, personally. I don't care how
last night
damn
it
big
was
the battery is, and I don't
-35.
care. I don't care how fully charged it is. I think it's going to crap itself. I think personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I've yet to see his comment, but I think he probably agrees with me, just judging by his comment. So far, so good. But yeah, um, Thumper, wrap it up, my friend. Give me your thoughts on this whole discussion tonight.
Yeah, it was good. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't freak out like I normally do when we talk about something like this, but
You never freak out to begin with. Give yourself more credit, my friend.
no, I think we need to stand up for ourselves, but like I said earlier tonight, it was kind of proven our voice doesn't matter, but I think we should still throw a fit like a 2-year-old and maybe we might get somewhere.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we just gotta work together.
Yeah.
That's how we make trucking get great again and everything. And yeah, I guess that's kind of sums it all up tonight. God bless troops, EMTs, firefighters, everybody in the United States, even the people overseas who are now watching. And boss man, you're at 699 subscribers, so congratulations on that.
I'm hoping to push that limit.
Yeah,
And as long as you're looking at this show and you're looking at us, take a minute, go down below, subscribe, give us the love we deserve. Because you know what? Like Upper says, we don't do it for.
us and our families, we do it for you guys.
That's exactly right. God bless you, man. We do it because it's the right thing to do. We come to you week after week because you need to know there's a way to make trucking great again. And God bless it. We're going to work every day doing just that. We're going to help you make trucking great again. Check us out week after week, 7 o'clock at night on our Frontlines broadcast and our journals. We are here for you guys. We will come to you week after week. Look for us more. Give us the love. Like and subscribe. While you're on the road, remember, it's trucks that make the deliveries, but it's you that make the difference. Till next time, keep it real. Keep the faith. Keep the roll.